Hey friends, maybe this is a message that you need to hear today, but I have this on my heart that I wanted to share, and I want to talk to you about how being grateful can save your relationship, can save your marriage. And these are things that I wish I had known so long ago that I have learned over my journey of being married to my spouse for 15 years that I want to share with you that have been super helpful in helping us build a strong relationship. So, when we were in a season where I literally hated my husband, I hated him. I didn't want to be near him. I didn't like him. I was frustrated all the time. I was feeling negative all the time. Um, I heard somewhere about speaking life unto your partner. So I thought I would try it because I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm already miserable and unhappy. So it started with just speaking life onto my spouse for 30 days. And what does that mean? So every single day, regardless of how much I hated him, how unhappy I was, I gave him a genuine compliment every single day. So I would look for things to be grateful for that he was doing or he was contributing to our household. So it would be things like he would shovel the snow in the driveway. So I would thank him for that. He would help with the dishes. Maybe it was just he looked really nice in the outfit that he was in that day. So I would find a genuine compliment that I would give him every single day, even though deep down I was really angry and I was really hurt and wasn't happy. And the thing with that was it literally was a mind shift change. And a lot of these things I'm going to share with you is mind shift. And it's making a change within yourself. So you make the decision, yes, I want to commit to this relationship, and I want things to be good, and then proceeding from there. So I decided that I was going to speak life onto him for 30 days, which I started doing. And about 2 weeks in, he started to notice and asked me if I was doing it on purpose. And I said yes. But the cool part was that it actually started to tear down the walls of frustration and hurt and resentment that we had towards each other. And I noticed that he actually started doing it back to me. And we were doing it because we wanted to, not because we felt like we had to. And we noticed that we were happier, and it was just something little in the day that I could do to show him that I still loved him, that I cared, and then he in turn started doing it to me. So that was really, really helpful. So even if you're in a great relationship now and you don't have issues in your marriage and you don't have any problems and you're not thinking about leaving or whatever the case may be, try do this anyways, because it's great for any season that you're in, and it's something that you can continually do that will literally just make your day so much better. Okay, the next thing was actually just recently we started doing this, is a complaint-free challenge, which is really challenging. So I never realized I didn't really complain too much verbally in my conversation, but I was complaining a ton in my head. So I was always like putting him down or criticizing him, or just even myself, and just complaining about little things in my head. And I didn't realize how much I was doing it until I started to become aware. So what we started doing was this complaint-free challenge, which meant that you don't criticize, don't gossip, and try to stay positive and go complaint free for 30 days. And it's really, really tough. But it makes you more aware, and you can actively work towards doing less of that, which will in turn help you feel really, really good. So it's fun. It makes you aware, and I really challenge you to try this because, again, it's something that's free for you to do that you can try on your own. Or you can grab a bunch of friends, or you can try it with your spouse, and you can do it together. So it really, really helps me every single day, not just in my marriage. Every single day I journal, and I also do a gratitude journal. So I have 2 books. So this is my little gratitude journal. And you don't have to have a fancy book. This was actually a gift from a friend, but you could literally just use any book you probably have laying around, or you could use your phone even in the notes section, or you could go to the dollar store or your local store and buy a book if you don't have one. But it's just lined paper, and every single day I write down 5 things that I am grateful for in the last 24 hours. And the reason that I do in the last day is because it actually helps me be more present in my day, and it helps me look for things that I'm grateful for throughout the day, which again is a mind shift, and it's really, really helpful. And this is a non-negotiable for me. So when I commit to doing these things, I am making a promise to myself that I will do them and I will not break them. And if you break them, then you have to start all over again. You start, if you're on day 15 and you break a promise to yourself and you don't fill out your book, you literally go back to day 1 and you start all over again. But this is the thing. When you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit. And when you do something for 90 days, it becomes a lifestyle. So you may not notice real huge changes overnight. You might not even notice them for a week or a month, but over time you will start to notice. And what I noticed was all of a sudden one day, massive amounts of abundance were coming into my life. The things that I was needing, the things I was asking God for, people were literally coming to me with them. I didn't even have to go out and look for them. So this has just been recent that I've consistently been doing these things. I've always kind of done them here and there, but I'm really committing to doing this every single day, because what I have learned is that when you have a routine that you can follow every single day, your life is better. You feel better. You accomplish more. You feel accomplished. You feel happier. You have better interactions with the people around you, and it helps you to build stronger relationships, including your marriage. So when I'm not exercising or eating healthy or journaling or meditating or doing all those things that I usually would do, I notice that I just feel more negative, that I'm complaining more, and I don't have as much energy. So these make a massive difference. But here's the thing. Don't set your expectations high and think, oh, in a week I'm going to feel amazing. It will happen for you when it's meant to happen. And maybe one day you'll just wake up and be like, wow, this is really working for me. So just commit to 30 days of doing these things, and you can pick one. You don't have to do all of these at once. Just slow and steady. Keep it simple, sweetheart. KISS. That's my motto. Keep it simple, sweetheart, so that you can consistently do something. So pick your favorite one on this list. My number one, I would say, is start with the gratitude list and do that, because that is a non-negotiable, and I think that is one of the most important things. This whole thing is about gratitude for me, and the more I live in gratitude, the better life has become for me. So pick one and try it for 30 days, and then maybe add on another and do that for 30 days, and then slowly build up this routine that you're creating for yourself to create the most amazing, abundant, purposeful life for you. Okay, next for what I found was super, super helpful in creating a strong marriage by living a grateful life was learning a little bit more about my spouse. And that included reading the most amazing book that's literally going to change all your relationships, and it's called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. If you have not read it, read it. If you've read it, reread it. Knowing what your spouse's love language is will make all the difference. Sean and I struggled for a really long time because we didn't know what our love languages are, and we're very different people. So what worked for him didn't work for me. So for example, he would buy me cut flowers, and it drove me crazy because receiving gifts is not my love language. My love language is the gift of time. More than anything, all I want to do is spend time with him, with my friends, with my kids, and that means more to me than any gift you can ever purchase for me. So time is my love language, but for him, his love language was giving gifts and also receiving compliments. So, and I'm not very good at giving compliments. I have to really work hard. So he would buy me cut flowers, and then I would kind of get mad that he was spending my hard-earned money on flowers that were just going to die. But when we go out for coffee, or when we go out for dinner, or, we would just go and run errands together, I was always my happiest. So after reading this book, we talked about what our love languages were, and we figured it out. So when we finally figured it out, he bought me flowers because that was his love language, but he bought me flowers that had a root that I could transplant into the yard, which means we got to go out into the yard together and plant this plant together, which meant he was fulfilling his love language of giving me a gift, and I was also getting my love language fulfilled of spending time together. And it was like, oh, we had a huge celebration that day when we figured it out. So it really, really helps when you know your partner's love language. And this is also a great book if you have kids or for any relationship in your life. So that's The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I highly, highly recommend it. It's in my top 5 favorite books of all time. Okay, next is date night. This is a non-negotiable. So at least once a week, commit to doing a date night with your spouse. So when my kids were little, it was really hard to get a babysitter for 4 little kids under the age of 5. We didn't have a lot of money, and not a lot of people wanted to watch 4 kids that were that young. So we would sometimes just put the kids to bed, turn the TV off, or put a movie in and sit on the couch and watch it together, and that was our date night. When the kids got older and we finally got a great babysitter, then we'd start going out more. So we would do dinner dates, we would go for coffee dates. Sometimes it was just a day of running errands together, but at least we were spending time together, and we were intentionally doing that, which made all the difference. And that is a non-negotiable. So I notice when we go a really long time, or we skip a date night, it's almost like breaking a promise to ourselves. And I really notice in our relationship that we don't feel as good when we don't commit to doing and following through with date night. So that's super important. Okay, next was taking care of me. So when he was newly sober in his addiction journey, I realized that I couldn't change him. There was nothing I could do that would change who he was. I either had to just support him and love him and accept him as he was, and just kind of keep going, or decide that, I wasn't going to stay in the marriage. But I had committed to staying in our marriage. So what I ended up doing was focusing on me and taking care of me and taking care of my children, because I knew that when he was newly sober, that I couldn't change him, that I didn't know if he was going to stay sober, if he was going to commit to the things that he was saying, and I didn't really trust him at that point. So in Al-Anon, I learned that I needed to take care of me. And if I took care of me and my kids, regardless of what happened with him, that I was still going to be okay. And that was really empowering, because instead of focusing on him and the negative, I was focusing on me and worrying more about what I was doing and what I was in control of, because I'm not in control of him. I can only control how I react to situations. I can't control the other person. So it was really empowering, and it really helped me get through some really hard seasons. But taking care of myself and my children was my priority, and it worked, and it was really, really worth it. Okay, next, you are like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So way back in the day when we were going through a really hard season, I was spending time with people that really weren't happy. They weren't loving their spouse like they could. They were talking negatively about their spouses all the time, and that influenced me quite a lot. So now, fast forward all these years later, we have surrounded ourselves with these amazing people that actually genuinely love each other and work really hard on their marriage, which inspires us to do the same thing. So I once heard a story about a woman who was going through a hard season with her husband, and she was on vacation and she was waiting for her friends to show up. And once they got there, she couldn't wait to just kind of like vent and get it all out about how awful her husband has been. She hasn't been enjoying her vacation. And instead of them, agreeing with her and kind of putting fuel to that fire, they were pointing out all the amazing things that her spouse did for her and what an amazing relationship they actually had, and showing her what she had to be grateful for, which changed her mindset. So had she gotten to that car with those people that were just as negative as she was feeling, it wouldn't have been good or helpful to her relationship. So if you find that you're spending time with people that don't have the same belief systems as you, that just aren't living a life that you want to live, and you are the smartest person in the room, then you need to find some new friends. Not to say that those friends aren't important and that you're never going to speak to them again, but you really want to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with these people that are going to lift you up and help you, that are living a life that you want. So one thing that really helped save our marriage, it was kind of on the brink of almost being on divorce's door, was we went on this family vacation, and it was part of our job, like it was part of my work, and I had earned this trip, and we went, and all these people that we were meeting and some of the people that we already knew were living a life full of abundance and purpose, and they had relationships that I had always craved, had always wanted, had admired. And they really inspired us. And to this day, those people are still in our lives, and they really, really are so supportive, and we lean on one another. And even in times when you're not feeling great, instead of complaining about it and looking at the negative, we are always showing each other the positive. And it's just wonderful to be surrounded by people like that. So that's super important, is to surround yourself with the right people, that because nobody wants the same goals or cares about your goals. They don't have the same goals as you. So you want to make sure that you're supporting people that are living the life that you want, and that will make everything more positive. Okay, apologizing, that's really hard. It's really hard to say you're sorry, even though you do something that you know maybe isn't nice, or you criticize, or you say something intentionally hurtful, or whatever it is. So slowly, this is something I am working on, is apologizing when maybe I've said something, even though it hasn't been intentional and has hurt somebody, or has hurt my friends or even my husband's feelings. So apologizing is really important, and it just shows your spouse that you care, and that you're really actively working towards trying to be the best you, and they will in turn do the same thing. Okay, so focus on his gifts and tell him. Really important. So that's part of the compliment challenge that I did with him for the first 30 days. Men, their ego is a big part of who they are, and so it's really important when you love your husband and you appreciate your husband, that you tell him. And I feel like I didn't do enough of that at the beginning of our marriage. And so now I really, every single day, try to find something to be thankful for and tell him about. And I even journal about it, because that helps me live with a more grateful heart, which in turn helps a happier marriage. Okay, so the other thing is comparison. So I did this post the other day that said, find a husband who ruins your lipstick, not your mascara. And the amount of messages that I received behind the scenes sounded a little something like this. You're so lucky. I wish I had what you had. How do I even find somebody like that? I wish my husband and I had a relationship like yours. Couple goals, all of these messages coming through from women I don't even know. And so this tells me that, number one, I'm doing something right, because I'm just sharing my lifestyle on social media. And really, we are not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect in our marriage, okay? So we accept each other's flaws, we give each other grace, we support one another, and we do all these things we're talking about. The other thing is comparison is a joy sucker. So if you find yourself scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and comparing your life and your marriage to the things that you see posted on other people's highlight reels, that's not a good thing. It's going to suck the joy right out of you. So just remember that when people are posting things on social media, they're posting the best part of their day. They're posting the best thing. Even when things are crappy, people are posting good things. So to compare what you have to somebody else's highlight reel isn't a fair comparison. And comparison just isn't good. So look at social media as an inspiration. If you see a couple or you see something that inspires you, use that to fuel inspiration and having and putting effort into a good relationship that you have, instead of wishing that you had what somebody else had, because that is just going to make you feel not so great. So do not compare. And if you find that you're having a hard time doing that, maybe just avoid, unfollow certain accounts and follow the ones that you love, that inspire you. You have a choice of what you follow and what you see on social media. You do not have to. You don't have to follow everything and like everything you see. And if you see something that's making you feel negative, delete. Unfollow. You have the choice to do that. It's really important. So what I would say is, to help you have a successful marriage is, number one, never give up on your spouse, ever. And again, this is for somebody that is not in an abusive relationship. So if you are in an abusive relationship, you need to make sure you are safe first and foremost. But focus on the good. focus on the good, because there is always good and there is always not so good in every single relationship. And, you know, like I said, we are perfectly imperfect, but we have accepted one another and we communicate big time. We communicate about the things that we love, the things that we don't love, how can we work and strive together to make them better. We have brought God into our relationship, and that has been so extremely helpful. We do a lot of things together, like meditate, go on dates, go to church, spend time with our kids, watch movies, you know, so we really are living the most intentional life possible. And these are the main things that I've done that have really helped improve and save my marriage. So hopefully this was helpful to you. And if you need any words of encouragement, I hope that this was it for you. And if you know somebody that needs to hear this, please share this video with them. And I wish you the greatest day, full of love, full of much abundance, and I pray that you have a super happy relationship that you strive for, because you deserve it.